good morning, everyone. How's it going? Different time. Oh, my guitar. Different time for us today. Let's see here. Who we got? David's here. Hi, David. How are you doing? Jim's here. Hey, this might be a better hour for Jim. I'm not sure. Let's see here. Dean says, hello on this gorgeous Wednesday. Is it gorgeous? I don't know. I got done the podcast about 3 a.m. last night. This was an intense one. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Had a lot of stuff to get prepared. Let's see here. David says it's raining in Tampa. Yeah, it rained here a good bit last night. Let's see here. Evan's here. Hi, Evan. How are you doing? Let's see. Jason. Hi, Jason. How are you doing? David asks, has everyone registered to win that Spark amp? Yeah, it should be in the show notes. It's positivegrid.com/play guitar. Pretty easy. I actually can type it in there, but I think Evan did. Good. Jim has. Awesome. Charlie's here. Hi, Charlie. How are you doing today? Dean says, I did. Did anyone do the Spark update? I haven't. Is it a firmware update? I'm thinking about doing that. Let's see here. Michael's here. It says, hello, Mike here, vacationing in Quebec. Awesome. Great to see you, Michael. Thanks for popping in on vacation. So we'll get to it. I got a lot of stuff to show you today. And we've got some, thank you, Dean. Dean put it in there. Got the Positive Grid hanging out here. We're going to go through, this was a long episode. This is kind of like one of my early episodes. It was like 40 minutes or so. Dean says, yes, a firmware and an app update. Awesome. Yeah, I may do that this afternoon. And Jason says the update sounds are fun. I'm looking forward to it then. That's great. Martin's here. Hi, Martin. How you doing today? I hope you're doing good. So we had a long episode today. It's called Daily Routine That Actually Works. It's week 2. So the first week we set everything up. We talked about the technology. We talked about your practice space, and gave us a nice week to really focus in on that. Today we're actually making the case for a daily routine. And even if we're on the same page about a daily routine, making sure that if you fall off, because we all do, we have good intentions, we fall off, that there's enough to keep us going, to get back on the horse. And the reasons why a daily routine is pretty cool. I also went through, I guess today would be best to go through the main points of the podcast, not go through everything that I talked about. I don't want to keep you guys here for forever. And then we'll go through some of the Spark stuff. But before I do that, I just finished this 5 minutes ago. I'm going to share. Let's see here. I'm going to share a window. And here we go. So what I'm doing through this course, because there's going to be so many downloads and backing tracks and these things, especially as we get into the chord episode and the lead episodes, I've made an actual course for this. So instead of just going to the show notes page, this is something that's in the Academy right now. It's a free course. It's kind of like the Get Your Blues Soloing Under Control. It's a free course in the Academy. For those who want to sign up for this, to get our downloads, I'm going to put the link in the chat right now. So that link right there will, if you're already in the Academy, or if you're already a subscriber to even just to the email list. Let's see, it didn't go through on Facebook. Let me know if I'll try it again on Facebook in a few minutes. But if you're already a member, you're a student, or you're in, you have a login to the Academy for some reason, If you sign up there, this will just be added to your library. And I just set it up. I'm going to go through and make sure that you don't get more email and all those things. Do that this afternoon. But we have Get Moving Guitar, free 6 weeks course to streamline your practicing and change your guitar playing forever. Here's all 6 weeks and what happens next. We have the welcome aboard here. And let's see here. No, I added some things in there that didn't take. Let's see here. Let me try saving this one more time. Let's see if this. No, it's not taking. So okay, so basically there's this instructor section right here. It's nothing really. So there's a welcome aboard. Here's last week, which was set up for success. And what I've added here is my practice space checklist. This is one of the things that I have out there for anyone. Had that for before. We've got the podcast right in there. You don't have to leave the course for that. Here's the notes for that, and also here's the link to win your own Spark amp. And then week 2, which is this week. This is the important one. We have the podcast up top, and then all of the downloads here. I made it to week 2. Congratulations. Building speed. I talk about why establishing a daily routine is essential. How long of a commitment, short-term, long-term memory, elements of practice, and we'll go through all of those things today. But at the bottom, just like in the Academy, we have our backing track for this week. I've got it. I think we did it at 80 beats per minute on the podcast, but we've got from 75, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120. So you can try all the different ones. And all of those things, downloads are right here. And we'll get into those in a few minutes. So I'm going to head back to full screen. Dale's here. Hi, Dale. How you doing today? Dino's here. Got some more folks popping in. Cool. I like this time. Tell me if this time sounds good for you. I was, I think it was in Dean's lesson. I was talking to Dean a little bit, and it may have been in the video I sent. But I've scaled back on the live streams, which is helping. I'm getting things done, but I'm missing doing the live streams. So maybe thinking once a week to kind of move back into it again. And this is a really good time. I really like this stuff. Charlie says, need to catch this later on vacay here in Cal. Oh, awesome, man. Hope you have a great vacation. Good to see you, Charlie. Okay, so I'm going to go first. Here's how we'll go from here. I'm going to go through the main sections, and then we'll try and fire up the Spark here and go through the actual routine that I set up for everyone. So first section, we talked about, here we go, establishing a routine. And the first thing I talked about was when I first started playing, I was all over the place. I was just like anyone. I practiced when I felt like it, and then I could go a week. And if I didn't touch the guitar, I was thinking about it, but I wasn't seeing results. And after that, when you first start playing, you get excited. Oh, I figured this out. You get a little growth spurt. And then after that, things kind of plateau and then start to, go down a little bit. I was always enjoyed playing guitar, but it was never, a really positive thing. I was always frustrated about what I was doing. And, that's that mixture of having a lot of fun and being frustrated is very confusing. And let's see here. I wasn't, I didn't have the internet, although I think the internet was a thing. I don't even think AOL had started yet at that point. So we had books, we had magazines, we had videotapes. That's all that we had for guitar learning materials. I used to love to go to the checkout the guitar store or just a magazine store, look at guitar magazines. And the one that stuck out for me is the Guitar for the Practicing Musician. Does anybody remember that magazine? At the time, it was really different because you had like Guitar Player and you had, different ones, and they were, a lot of ads and a lot of gear and those kind of things. And Guitar for the Practicing Musician had tabs in it and had lessons in it. And that was the main focus to that. But the thing that I really liked about it was the name. I didn't get that. I just thought, oh, you're playing guitar. And I didn't realize that there was a practicing musician. And that kind of made me think, okay, well, maybe that's what my problem is. Maybe I need some sort of structure. And so I went through in the podcast that, the how school, because I was probably 14 or 15 at the time, how school was the only thing I knew. And I would recall all of these useless bits of information from school, and I had done no effort to know those things. And I thought, well, why am I struggling with guitar, something I want to know and something I want to remember? But, in my social studies class, I can remember everything, and I put no effort in that. And the reason is because I showed up every day. It was that repetition. And kind of like a light bulb moment for me. If I can keep repeating all of this stuff, if I can really, the scale patterns was the thing that it just didn't make any sense. It's like, oh, how am I supposed to remember all the, these scale patterns? And then the more I'd learn, the more I'd lose the ones that I had worked on a few weeks ago. So I started treating it a little bit like school. I do a little bit every day, and it worked. But it was struggle at first. I couldn't. Sometimes I'd forget to practice. I'd be doing something else and just forget it. Sometimes I would, have to force myself to sit down and practice. But what happens is, after a few months, I got in that routine. So for the podcast, I looked it up. How long does it take to establish, a habit, a routine? And if I typed that in, and for about the first 2 pages, you see it 66 days, 66 days, 66 days. That seems to be what everybody, the consensus on that is. So and I look back and it was a few months, it was like 2 to 3 months. So I agree with that. So if you can keep up with something for about 2 months, a little over 2 months, it's usually going to stick. And it happened for me. Let's see here. So that brought me into, okay, it's working. Why is this working? Because when I was 18, I taught my first guitar lesson. His name was Andy, and I had no intention of being a guitar teacher. I just like playing guitar. And this guy at school, his name was Andy. He wanted some guitar lessons and asked me to do it. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but sure, I'll show you what I'm doing. And I loved it. It was fun. So after that, I wanted to know, well, why is this working for me, and how can I help other people? And it comes down to short-term and long-term memory. And we talk a lot about short-term and long-term memory here. But what are they? I mean, how can we, that sounds good, but what does it really mean? So I kind of looked into that, and short-term memory is basically where we're holding things that we're deciding on. We've got some decisions that we have to make. So you see anything, and it goes in, and you have to say, is this worth keeping? Because we can't keep everything filed up here. So, when you get all this stuff in there, you make sure, okay, I like that. I need to remember this, right? Or I can't spend my time worrying about this subject. So I'm just going to have to dump it. You have to make those decisions. And to do that, you have to hold these things in memory, short-term memory. It takes a lot of effort. It's just like cramming for a test, and the minute, say the minute you finish the test, say you got, the night before, and you're up all night trying to remember all these things for a test the next day. The minute the test is over, what happens to all this stuff? It's just gone. So short-term memory, like the RAM in your computer, turn the computer off. it's gone. But what happens when we decide we want to keep something? Something's important to us. We want to put something in our filing cabinet so that we can later go back and remember it or do it in the case of guitar. Sometimes it's easy for me. Sometimes I see something and I just can remember it, but that's very rare. Most of the time, it's tough to remember what especially start getting older. You can't remember, I forget all sorts of important things, so, but the only thing that I've found and that most everyone's found that is a surefire way to remember something important is through repetition. And guitar repetition is very, very important because we have an added element to it. We have hand-eye coordination. We have not only do we have to remember things and be able to use these things, we have to be able to perform these things. And so we're adding physical movement onto that. So repetition really becomes key. It's a system of combining past information and physical movement. And with music, there's even another dimension of that. As we're playing, the example I gave in the podcast was as we're playing, you might be playing something, that you've played a million times and it's fitting and it's cool. But somebody else in the band plays something new and all of a sudden you get an idea. So you're modifying these things that we've remembered. All this is very complex. We don't think of it. It's just fun. It's just, that's just playing music. That's what it is. But it's not super easy, and that some people get to that point. Like, how am I ever going to be able to do that? Repetition. So the nice thing is that you get the same benefits repeating something daily for a shorter amount of time as you do for a longer amount of time. I have seen people who practice for, I'm practicing like 4 hours a day. And I said, hey, this is for students I had. I said, hey, you might want to slow down a little bit. You don't want to burn yourself out. Okay. And then it was a test for me. I could see what their progress was when they were practicing for a lot, daily. And then bringing it down to a shorter amount of time, 45 minutes, an hour. And the progress still went. The progress wasn't any different. So it's not the amount of time, it's the repeating that's the most important thing. And we can all do that. If you've got something you're struggling with and, for the first 5 days you repeat it, you may not be getting any better, but your brain's processing these things. There's something really magical that happens when you repeat things on a daily basis. Okay, so then in the podcast, I went to, made the case for that. Daily practice is where it's at. How about the main elements of a practice? And you're going to find three things when you practice. Things that are new, things that need repetition, and things that have to be done. First one is, the one no one likes. Things that are new. These are the things that sound bad. It doesn't matter, if you're used to practicing all the time, you're still listening to the music. It's still not fun to hear yourself play something that isn't perfect. It doesn't sound great. And that it can be discouraging. It's work that needs to be done. So what ends up happening is we avoid it. It's much easier to play some songs that sound good, that we're comfortable with. We can just jam a little bit. That's always easy to play. I fell into that. I was talking about when I started, when I was like 14 or 15. I just jammed the same songs over and over again. And I wasn't getting any better. And I would see other people that I knew who were playing guitar kind of started at the same time I did. And they were progressing fast. And I thought, I got to change something. Now, it's not hell. It's fun, but it's not pushing me forward. And, if that's, there are some people who are just content to have some fun strumming a few chords. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not speaking to those people. I'm speaking to the people who would like to get better, who have that drive to get better and are frustrated that they can't. let's move on to the next one. The next one is things that need work, things that need repetition, right? Things that you may have learned in the past, or something that's a system that needs to be either maintained or refined. So, what are the things that that's pretty easy. Difficult songs. I used to play Cliffs of Dover in my three piece. We would play Cliffs of Dover. We played in the beginning of the night, play that, and then when everyone was sober, and then by the end of the night, when everybody had been drinking, what was that song you played in the beginning? And I made a lot of tips replaying that song. But to play that song well requires a lot of maintenance. I would have to practice that song all the time to keep it up. I would find if I didn't practice it for a week or two, especially that beginning part with all the runs, I would lose it. So these are things that have to be worked up. Also, improv. Improv is something that is, you have to keep working on. You have to keep, good repetitions for it to keep getting better. So difficult repertoire, improv are the things that need repetition. But the one I want to talk about is the things that have to be done. We all know this. Maybe not for guitar. If you're just starting with guitar, you may not have this. But in anything, things that you're in panic mode, these things have to get done now. And I have to get them done. This is basically my life for the past 2 months. Is panic mode, right? It's not a good place to be. We want to avoid panic mode as much as possible. This is where you're going to expend the most effort, and you're going to drop everything else that doesn't deal with the immediate goal, the immediate issue that you have to deal with. It's for music. For me, usually it's when I have a gig or I join a new band, something where I have a lot of stuff that I have to have done by a certain time. Upcoming performance. But the other thing that I think all of us, people who are taken with guitar, is being obsessed with something new. It could be gear. It does this. I've got to have this gear, and you're looking, you're blowing everything else off, and you're researching gear, or it could be, you hear a new band that you like, a new guitar player, and you're trying to learn that stuff, and you're not doing the things that are actually going to move you forward. You're just kind of off into a tangent, into a run. It's get it done mode, and it's a goal killer. You're not moving in a healthy way forward. You're focusing on one thing and getting rid of everything else, all the things that could actually be moving you forward. The first two elements, things that are new, things that need repetition, those are long-term memory. We're doing these every day. We're working on these things. We're committing them. We're filing them in for use later. But panic mode, get it done mode, is just like cramming for a test. It's short-term memory. It's a lot of effort. And once it's resolved, a lot of times it goes the same way as those tests that you took in high school. The information is just dumped after you do. Oh, I really like that, but now I don't even care about that anymore. Have you ever experienced that? In the last part of this section, I went over, it was something old, something new, something borrowed, and something blue. When I sit down to practice, I try to touch on those four areas. It's an old English, was it and a sixpence? And I think there was one more thing to it that's not part of the common saying. Something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue. I think the something old is what we just talked about, keeping things up. I like to do technique exercises that I have done in the past that were challenging. 4-note chord voicings. A lot of us are in the 4-note chord voicings in the academy. Those need keeping up. Old scale patterns like diminished and whole tone, those scale patterns that I don't use every day. Not something that you would want to hear a whole song on. But when I do need to use those scale patterns, I would like to have them sound good, so things like that I have to keep up. Rhythms, I like to go back over rhythms and like old songs and licks. Anything you want to be ready at a moment's notice. If you're playing in a band, it could be running the set list, scale patterns, all those things. But let's talk about the next part, something new, right? This is the stuff that sounds bad. This is the stuff we talked about before that we like to avoid. This is the woodshed, right? Where you bring new skills up to speed, new techniques, new chords, new scales, new rhythms, new songs, original songs or cover songs. This is something that is the things that I had to force myself to do early on that I love to do now, as I'm used to hearing myself sounding bad. For someone like me who's been a guitar player, in bands where you put something out there for people, you don't want people to hear that. You don't want people to know that you sound bad. But if you think about it, right, the thing that I always equate it to is like great singers. If you think about, I don't know, say like who's a fan, like Michael McDonald has a low, growly kind of voice. If he knows what sounds good for his voice. If you heard him try and sing like Nirvana, like screech, as above your range, Kurt Cobain would always do that. He would hit notes that he knew he would have to push for, to struggle for. They're just above his range. If you heard Michael McDonald do that, you wouldn't feel the same way about him. He knows not to go and hit those notes. A good singer knows where they sound good, but also they know what notes not to go for, because it's not going to be the quality that they want to put forward. The same thing with working on things at home. I'm used to hearing myself struggling with something like that, but I don't really perform that. And whenever I perform, I put my best foot forward. Okay, how about so let's see, we've got a few folks in here before we go to something borrowed. Jim says it's great. I guess the time 11 p.m. here. Oh, okay, much better for you, right? Dean says the instructor did update on the page. Okay, yeah, maybe it's just this one page that I have opened here. Let's see here. Learning Theories here. How you doing? Great to see you. Dwayne's here. Hi, Dwayne. Good to see you. Jason said, and a silver sixpence. That's what it was. Silver sixpence in your shoe. And that's what Brian May's guitar pick. Right. Have you ever tried that? Have you tried using a coin as a guitar pick? I know that for a while, I know Billy Gibbons used the peso for a while. And I've tried that. It didn't work for me. Tried filing the edges down, didn't work for me. I tried actually buying picks that look like a regular pick, but they're metal, and that sound on electric guitar never worked for me. Let's see. Yeah, good to see you. Okay, so let's get into something borrowed. Something borrowed is transcribing. Transcribing is something that everyone should be attempting. Even if you're not to the point where you know what you're doing, it's really ear training. It's ear training with a purpose, right? So you hear a guitar player that you like, I would love to sound like that. It could be Joe Bonamassa, it could be anyone, right? Anyone. And you hear, I'd like to play like that. And you listen, and then you don't do anything about it. You can learn these things from people. It's possible. You just have to develop your ear. It's so beneficial. And not just for learning lead guitar. You're understanding what someone's doing and applying it to your own licks. But you can do it for chords, for anything, vocal melodies, anything like that. I get the most out of this, though, when I just do short licks, not full solos. That's an undertaking. That's when you try and learn a whole solo, you need to have some time. Even I've been doing it for years. I know, oh, if I'm going to learn a whole solo, this is going to take a while. But just learning the bits that you like, transcribing them and figuring out why that guitar player played this way. What scales were they using? What rhythms were they using? What makes it sound this way? And a lot of times, what tone that they're using. If you've ever tried to play like Sweet Child of Mine, right? That beginning part. If you try to play that with a clean sounding guitar, it sounds nothing like the song. It has none of the effect. It had to have that sound, that slash sound to the Marshall-y pushed type sound. So figuring these things out is very important. But I always try to, after I learn a small bit, and it'll take a few minutes just to learn a small lick. After that, I like to make something of my own up similar to that. Hack it, if you will. Hack the lick, right? So, say I've learned some old blues thing and say that's what I liked, right? Well, I might go, I might change the rhythms up a little bit or change the order of the notes. It doesn't take much to take something and just skew it a little bit, just adjust it a little bit, and then it's not recognizable from the original thing. I think a lot of the coaching students found this out, where I said, okay, stump the teacher. Do you remember Stump the Teacher? That was a colossal disaster for me. Right? I asked all the students, hey, play a lick this week from someone that you like and change it a little bit and make it your own, and I'll try and figure out what it is. I couldn't figure any of them out, right? It doesn't take much to just make a little change. So transcribing, very important. And then the last is something blue. This is improv for me. The blue just reminds me of blues, and I always try to start working on improv with a blues. Why? Because I made the most traction in my progress as a guitar player when I understood the blues and understood how it worked and how it related to all these other styles of music that I play. The better that you are at blues, the easier other styles of music are going to be for you. And working on improv too. So it's working on improv. It's an idea generator. Okay, so if you're trying to come up with original ideas, sit down and improv for a while and see what you get. I get ideas for full songs. I get ideas for melody lines, bass lines, all that stuff. And I like to rotate though. So I'll usually start with the blues, but then I'll try something different, some minor progressions, which is what we're working on this week. All sorts of different stuff. So that brings us to our first routine. And if we can all decide, okay, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try doing a daily practice for 2 months, a little over 2 months. You don't want to start heavy, so in some of the levels in the academy, some are more, open than other levels, especially the earlier levels. There's a lot packed in on those. You wouldn't want to start with that right away. You'd want to start with something easy that you could just get into a routine, for a short amount of time every day. And it's not super stressful. You're not having to really work hard. For this first week, you can just pick one thing to work on. So you can work on it each day. I've got some stuff for you, and I'm using it with Spark here. I haven't even set this up, so I'm going to set it up as we go. But what we're doing, let me see if I can download this. And you guys can see it. Okay. I'm going to have to find this in my files and share it that way. Doesn't seem to. Wait. Okay. Maybe it is working. Let's see if it'll pop up on the screen. Oh, sorry about this. Just take me a second. Okay, it's working. So let's go on over there. Okay. So for this week, this is one of the downloads. We're going to do I'm going to get my Spark going here. So get the tones right, and I'll show you some really cool stuff that I found. It's connecting. The app is connecting. All right. So clean one. I just want to take this this delay off, and I want to put the 2 screamer on. Okay. So what we're going to start with this week is this progression. We have C minor, and then B flat, a measure each, and then F minor. And then we're going to go from A flat for a half of a measure, and then G for half a measure. So it's like, okay, he says you can't hear the guitar. All right, let's. Is that better? I just cranked it on the send. Let me know if you can hear it. Okay. Get this going on. Did that fix it or not? Just put it. That should be sending it. Okay, so it's not sending it. Let me make sure my settings are correct here. Audio setting. Let's go to okay, I changed my audio. See if that's. I just changed the audio. Okay, that fixed it. Good. I don't understand. Great. I don't understand. So this is StreamYard that I use. Too loud now. Okay. Yeah, I usually have this set up in StreamYard. Perfect. I have a send that goes straight, so it's a dedicated channel just for live streaming. And it was just changed. I hadn't done anything to change it. Jason Moss says good now. Good. Okay, so we had, now that you can hear, we had C minor. Still way too loud? Perfect. Okay. Okay. Which just keep me updated on that. So these are our chords: C minor, B flat, F minor, A flat, and G. And I hope I made this big enough so you can see it's not blurry. Then the 2 scales we're going to use pattern 4 for this. So at the 3rd fret, we have C minor. You turn this down here. Turned it down a little on the amp too. Sorry about that. Had it all set up before. Awesome. Okay. So that's C minor pentatonic over those. And then we also have C natural minor. In that same place on the guitar. They're actually the same scale. One just has more than the other, more notes than the other one. So these are the scales we're going to use. And then I'm going to go over here and grab our weekly there we go. Let me get this so you can see it really well. Too much. There we go. So what we're going to be doing this week is targeting tones. Now, if you're a beginner, just playing these bar chords is a C minor to B flat, F minor, A flat to G. So if you're a beginner, taking a stab at just at getting these bar chords is all you need to do. I'm in a place where I want to have something for everyone here. So this is the idea for that. So for the folks who are kind of intermediate, they're wanting to do single note lines all the way up to advanced, we're going to be targeting some chord tones. The first part one, we're going to be targeting the root notes. Part two, we're going to be targeting the thirds. Part three, we're going to be targeting the fifths. They each have a different sound. These are all of our strong notes through a chord progression. Most people, when they play guitar, they find out what key that they're in, and they just do a scale that matches that key, and they don't care about what the chords are. But then they realize, well, sometimes it doesn't sound very good. You get some sour sounds. The truth is, every time a chord changes, your strong notes and your weak notes change. And so the idea is to connect between from strong note to strong note to strong note to strong note, and use the weak notes as transportation between those. So that's the first thing I'm going to go through with you there. Then we're going to do some arpeggios for these. We're going to do a little bit of phrasing, connecting roots and thirds. So on C minor to B flat, C minor would be starting on the root, but B flat would be going to the thirds, connecting thirds and fifths. And then improv for that. And so I've got a minor pentatonic scale and a natural minor scale for improv. So let's go through these here. And how are we going to do that? We are going to do that with the backing track. I'm going to get mine through the app here. So let me see. This may take me too long to do. I may just do it from the page. I'm just going to do that from the page here. But in the app, if you go to the Spark app and you go to here, let me see. I'm gonna hold this up so you can see here. Okay, so in the Spark app down here, you have this little musical note. So I'm going to press that. Oh, that was the video. Sorry. There we go. Doing things upside down. So this gets you to your, they call it the music section, right? So what we're going to do is we're just going to go and search. And what this allows you to do is search, and it will search through what's on your phone, but YouTube is really the key. Now, I've already done this before. Get Moving Guitar, which is our series. I typed Get Moving Guitar in there, and then I'm going to search for that. The very first thing that comes up, it says Week 2, backing track, Get Moving Guitar. So it pulls up. No internet connection. Make sure that Wi-Fi is on. It's working. Okay, so this is the backing track for this week. So you can go in there, put in Get Moving Guitar, and the chords did finally show up. What it does, let me pause this. So what it does is it figures out the chords for the song, but it allows you to change them. I'm going to have to go through here and make sure it's working correctly. Okay. But you can go in and say if it gets the chord wrong, you can change it right here in the app. Well, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to play through all of our, there we go. I'm going to play through our PDF here, targeting some roots, targeting some thirds. I'll do the roots, thirds, and fifths first. Okay. And so I'm going to switch back to the other camera. Oh, wait, you can't see that. I was trying to show you all these things. There you go. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the other camera and get this backing track going. Remember, it's Get Moving Guitar. And let's target some tones. So we got thirds here. So there's B flat, F. So there's our roots on this octave. I'm going to do that again, make sure these levels are right. Okay, here we go. Targeting the roots. B flat, F minor, A flat to G. C, the next octave, B flat, F minor. Okay, that's pretty basic, pretty simple sounding. We're just doing the most strong notes that you'll find. But let's go over here to thirds, okay? I'll wait, let it go through. Okay, so here we go. Here's targeting the thirds for each chord. Different sound, right? A harmony type sound. And the next octave. F. There's the A flat for the F. And then we're going to go up here to... Right? All of a sudden now your ear's hearing some new things as these chords are going through. They're still strong sounds, but we're hitting the thirds. Now let's do the fifths. Okay, I'll do the first octave of the fifths. And then, yeah, let me get this on the screen for you. All right. So fifth over C minor, then fifth for B flat, fifth for the F. And then A flat to G. Now let's go to the next octave here. We're going to start on the G for the C minor. Ready? 1, 2, ready, go. And for the B flat. So we've got all of our strong notes through all of the chords, the root chords, the tonic notes of this is chords, the roots of the first time through were very vanilla sounding, right? They sounded good. The thirds to me sounded the coolest. It's like a vocal harmony type sound. And then the fifths were kind of meat and potatoes too, but they're all a different sound and sounds that you can take advantage of. Next, we're going to go through arpeggios. See. And then. Okay, so I'm going to start this over on the app. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, so there's our arpeggios in 2 octaves in one position for all of the chords. So now the next thing we have is connecting roots and thirds. So let's see here, and then start. Okay, so I'll just do connecting roots and thirds first. 1, 2, ready, go. Now I'm on a third, going to a root. Now I'm going to a third. Do it again. So you hear that strong sound, a harmony sound, thirds. Strong sound, and then back to a harmony. Now the next one is connecting thirds and fifths. So I'm going to start on the third in C minor and then end up on the fifth in B flat. Here we go. Try it again. So each one of these, even though I'm hitting strong notes, it's got a melodic sound, but I'm going to a different quality of that. Roots, thirds, and fifths. Okay, so at this point in the week, we've targeted notes. We've got our strong notes in this pattern for all of the chords. We can hear those notes going through. Now it's time for some improv. First, we just do some regular improv. And then we'll do the full scale improv. And try and use some of those arpeggios. Whole time for the some of the coaching students who've been who've gone through the minor course, you notice at the end here we have a G chord in the key of C minor. That G chord will give has an altered note. Usually in C minor, the G would be a G minor. That's the diatonic chord for that. But a regular G back to a C minor is a very strong sound, something people use. So to do that, instead of playing a B flat in here, we play a B just over that chord, and it gives us a harmonic minor sound. Hear it right there? I'll do it without over everything. You'll be able to really hear the harmonic minor sound. Hear that? It's kind of sour there. So I would normally play this over these chords, and then right here, right there, just when the G's playing. Okay, so there's improv for the week as well. So a lot of stuff to do this week. Now what I wanted to do is I wanted to show you, we're going to do this on the fly. Sometimes you get all sorts of different results here for doing the Smart Jam feature. So I'm going to go back to, let's see here, I'm going to make it so everyone can see, and close up here. So right here in red is the Smart, it says create under Smart Jam here. So I'm going to hit create, Okay. And then you've got Dave, and you've got Sharon, and you've got Charles. I was using Charles for a rhythm section, right? So I'm going to say, let's jam. Okay. It's at 81. You can tap a tempo in there. You can make it swing or not, right? Hit start. And what'll happen is when you hit start, the microphone in the phone is going to listen to your guitar playing, and it's going to give you 8 bars. I guess you can set it for 12 as well, but it's going to be 8 bars. And I'm going to play these same chords. And then what we're going to end up doing is seeing what they come up with. It doesn't completely mimic what you put in there. It actually creates a songwriting. It gives you a verse and a bridge and 2 choruses and an intro, all sorts of different things. So it's similar to what you played, which is really neat for improv because we know those chords. Those chords we're going through and we're playing them. But here we might get some different ones too. So it might throw us for a loop a little bit. So I'm going to turn my microphone off because I'm going to turn the speakers up in the room so it can hear what I'm playing. I'm going to play all of the chords, and then let's see if I can get this where you guys can see it. There we go. So I'm going to play all of the chords, and then we'll see what they come up with. So I'm going to shut my microphone off right now. So now it's come up with a new, let's take a listen. So it's using those chords, C minor, B flat, F, but it's kind of mixed them up a little bit. So let's see here. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so once we've done that, what is really cool is you can video yourself jamming to that exact right down here. If you hit the video icon, it'll say add music. You press add music right there. You can import a song, or you can go to Smart Jam right here. And what you just played is right at the top. That'll play that song and videotape you at the same time. So you can take a look at your fingerings, how you're playing, really important stuff to get a good record of your playing. So maybe at the end of the practice, I might videotape a little bit of that jam that I did with there. Okay. All right. So we're right at the hour. Let's see here. There we go. We're right at the hour. That's the podcast. I got it all in, and we had some fun jamming. I went a little bit longer on jamming than I did. But it was great to see everybody. Let's see. There's a few that were here before. Jason says, I was actually jamming a little bit with this before the cast. Cool. I hope I showed you how having some structure, just being able to, in the YouTube app, be able to bring up a YouTube thing, get all your chords right there. This is playing along with the lesson material there, and then being able to jam along with it and have it change things up, and then at the end videotape you playing there. That's a good daily practice. Now, we went for an hour. I did a lot of talking, but 15, 20 minutes sitting down with this, going through all the things. Make sure you head on over to grab your downloads. I've set this whole course up. So it's been kind of taking a lot of time, but it's set up now. It's ready to go, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys think about this. This is just the second week. Oh, make sure if you haven't signed up to win the Spark amp yet, do so. And week 4 is when we're going to hear who the winner is. So this is the last week before we do that. So this next week I'll say it one last time, and then the following week the winner will be announced. Okay? So great to see everybody. I like this time. If you guys like this time too, let me know. This works for me really well. I like it. I have getting the podcast together is always like very comfortable throughout the week, and then around like Sunday, things get a little hectic. Monday, really hectic. Tuesday, super hectic. But doing this live stream after the podcast, it's a much more comfortable and enjoyable thing, and I get to hang out with you guys a little bit more. So I'm liking this 11 o'clock on Wednesdays. So Dean says, great podcast, best yet. Great. Awesome. Mark says, good show. And then Dean put in the link there. So, okay, everybody, I hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday. It was wonderful to hang out with you. For those who aren't in the chat who are just watching, great to see you. And if anyone has any questions or anything, you can just get in touch with me over Lee at playguitarpodcast.com. Okay. All right. I'll see everybody. Bye-bye.